The sun is not yet risen, but already I am awake. The air is cool, carrying with it the faint smell of damp earth and smoke from the fires that never truly die in our village. My body aches, as it always does, yet I rise without complaint. This is the rhythm of my life, as steady as the Nile. I step out of my small hut, where my wife and children still sleep. Around me, other men stir from their beds of reed mats. Some rub their eyes, others stretch their sore arms. A few cough quietly into the darkness. We do not speak much at this hour. Words will come later, when the day has warmed. For now, we walk together, silent, carrying the weight of what awaits us. The path to the pyramid is long, but we know it by heart. Dust rises beneath our sandals as we move in groups, our torches flickering. Ahead, I can already hear the faint sound of voices, overseers calling, scribes scratching notes into their tablets, oxen lowing as they are yoked to sledges. Even before the sun, the pyramid site is alive. And then I see it, rising against the paling sky, the great shape of the pyramid itself. Each morning it looks taller than the last. Its sides gleam faintly in the first light, a mountain not of earth, but of stone and sweat. I crane my neck to look up, and for a moment, I feel both pride and fear. Pride that I, a simple man, am part of something that will outlast us all. Fear, because its vastness reminds me how small I am in the shadow of Pharaoh's dream. We gather near the storage sheds where tools are kept. Copper chisels, wooden mallets, ropes thick as a man's arm, all waiting for us. The overseers shout names, their voices sharp, cutting through the dawn. Scribes dip their reeds into ink, recording who is present, who is missing. No one dares linger. Absence is remembered. The work gangs are assigned. Haulers, cutters, setters. I am a hauler today, as I was yesterday, as I will be tomorrow. It is not for me to question. My hands grip the thick ropes, rough and frayed, and already I feel the burn on my skin. The sun rises slowly, painting the desert in gold and red. It promises heat, endless and merciless. But in this moment, in the cool breath of dawn, I feel ready. My brothers beside me mutter small prayers, some to Ra for the strength of the day, others to Ptah, the master of craftsmen. I do not pray aloud, but in my heart, I whisper the same words. May my back hold, may my breath endure, may this day not break me. And with that, the overseer's command splits the air, and we lean into the ropes as one. The stone groans, the sled creaks, our feet dig into the sand. Another day has begun. The stone is our enemy, and yet it is also our master. Each block, heavier than 100 men, resists us as if it wishes to remain forever in the desert quarries where it was born. But Pharaoh has commanded it to rise into the heavens, and so we drag it, day after day, as obedient as the Nile is to the pull of the moon. We lean forward with all our weight, pulling the ropes in unison. The sled beneath the block slides slowly over the path of mud and water that has been laid for it. Without that wet earth, it would be impossible. Even so, every step feels like a battle. Our feet sink, our shoulders scream, and the rope cuts into our palms until the skin hardens like leather. The overseers march alongside, their eyes sharp, their whips hanging loose at their sides. They rarely strike. They do not need to. The thought of falling behind, of shaming one's gang, is punishment enough. We know the work is greater than us, greater than them, greater than any one man. If the pyramid is to rise, each of us must give everything. At times, I look around as we pull. To my left, a man chants rhythmically, his voice keeping us in step. To my right, Another grits his teeth in silence, his veins standing out like cords. Behind me, someone stumbles, but others reach to steady him before he falls. There is no space here for weakness, yet there is also no place for cruelty. We share the burden, and in sharing, we survive. The journey from the riverbank to the pyramid base is long. By the time we reach the ramps, our tunics are soaked, and our bodies tremble from effort. The ramps themselves rise like great snakes along the pyramid's side, packed with men who push, haul, and guide stones ever higher. The air hums with the sound of effort, the scrape of sledges, the grunt of men, the cries of overseers. Dust clings to our skin, mixing with sweat until we are coated in grime. At the base of the ramp, the stone is handed over to another team. They take up the ropes, and slowly, painfully, the block begins its ascent. Some men push from behind, others guide from the front. Still others place logs beneath the sled, easing its path upward. We watch for a moment, catching our breath, and then turn back toward the river for another load. This is the rhythm of my days: haul, deliver, return. The pyramid grows, stone by stone, and though the work never ends, there is a strange comfort in its sameness. We are part of a machine, each man a cog, each gang a wheel. Alone, we could achieve nothing. Together, we move mountains. Sometimes, when the sun is at its height and the world shimmers with heat, I ask myself, will anyone remember us? Will anyone speak the names of the men who strained and bled to raise this monument? Or will they see only Pharaoh, his name carved deep into stone, and believe he alone raised it? The thought troubles me, but then I look up at the growing pyramid and pride swells in my chest. Even if no one remembers me, the work itself will stand as my proof. The block reaches its place at last, sliding into the waiting gap with a heavy, final sound. The overseer nods. Another stone laid, another piece of eternity locked into place, and already the command comes. Back to the river. The day is far from over. When the sun reaches its peak and the air becomes thick enough to choke, the overseers call a halt. We gather in the shade of half-built walls or in the tents set up near the pyramid's base. My body aches as though the stones themselves have been tied to my limbs, but the smell of food revives me. The cooks, skilled men chosen from among us, have already prepared the meal. We sit on the ground in circles, passing around bowls of bread, onions and lentils. Some days there is fish, caught from the Nile before dawn. Other days, dried dates sweeten the air. But always, there is beer. Not the beer of nobles, clear and golden, but the thick, nourishing drink that fills the belly and strengthens the body. We drink deeply, wiping the foam from our beards, and feel life returning to our weary bones. The food is not mere survival, it is proof that we matter. Pharaoh may be far away, veiled in the majesty of his palace, but here in the workers' village we are cared for. The scribes count our rations, the granaries are stocked, and the healers tend our wounds. We are not slaves. We are men chosen for a task, and though it grinds us down, it also binds us together. During these pauses, laughter fills the camp. Men joke about their gangs, about whose sled moved fastest, whose shoulders will ache most tomorrow. Someone starts a song, and soon the air hums with voices. The songs are old, passed down by fathers and grandfathers, filled with tales of gods, heroes, and Nile floods. We sing them not only for joy, but for strength, as if each word plants new fire in our hearts. Yet there is also quiet. Some men sit apart, heads bowed, whispering prayers to Ptah, the god of craftsmen, or to Hathor, the lady of love and music. Others carve small amulets from bits of stone, hoping to keep misfortune away. I often find myself staring at the pyramid's rising shape, its sides already stretching toward the sky. In those moments, silence speaks louder than any song. When the meal ends, we lie back in the shade, bellies full, eyes heavy. For a brief time, we are allowed to rest. My friends and I talk of our homes, the wives who wait, the children who grow taller each season. Some of us live nearby, others far along the Nile. Many will not see their families until the work is done. But here, among our brothers, we have found another kind of family. Then the horn sounds. Rest is over. We rise, groaning, stretching sore muscles, but smiling all the same. For though the work is endless, we rise together. And as we return to the ropes and stones, the songs we sang at midday echo in my ears, steady as the beat of a drum. When the day's toil ends, the sun sinking like a dying fire behind the desert hills, we walk back to our village. It is not a place of luxury, but it is alive with noise, warmth, and the smell of cooking fires. Our homes are simple mud brick houses, laid out in neat rows. They are close together, so close that the walls seem to lean toward one another, as if sharing the burden of time. Inside, the rooms are small, but they are ours. Mats cover the floor, jars line the walls, and oil lamps flicker with a soft glow. My wife, when she comes to stay, fills the house with her laughter. When she is gone, it feels empty, and I lean on my neighbors for company. This is how it is for most of us. The village is not just a place to sleep, but a shared heartbeat. Evenings bring a rhythm different from the pounding of sledges and chisels. Children play in the streets, chasing one another until dust rises into the cooling air. Women grind grain, their stone wheels groaning in a steady, timeless rhythm. Men gather outside, voices rising as they tell stories of gods and pharaohs, of floods and battles. The elders remind us of those who came before, as if weaving our lives into a long chain stretching back to the first builders. There are feasts on special days. The priests bring offerings, and music fills the night. Flutes, drums, and rattles echo through the village, and for a moment we forget our aching backs. We dance, our bodies moving like the Nile's current, swift and unrelenting. It is in those moments that I feel closest to the gods, as if the stars themselves lean low to watch. But the village is not only joy, it is also where we heal. Scribes keep records of our rations, and doctors walk among us, carrying satchels filled with herbs and tools. They tend to broken bones, cut away infection, and soothe fevers. Death still comes, as it always does, but less often than outsiders think. Those who say we are slaves, whipped until we drop, do not know this place. They do not see the care that binds us together, the order that keeps us strong. At night, when the fires burn low and the laughter fades, I often lie awake. My body is heavy with pain, yet my mind wanders to the pyramid. Even in the dark, I can see its outline, black against the starlit sky. It grows taller each day, its shadow reaching farther across the desert. And in my chest, I feel a strange pride. I know that one day, long after my bones are dust, people will look upon that great stone mountain and wonder who built it. They will not know my name, but the stones will remember my hands. On the work site, nothing escapes the eyes of the overseers. They stand above us on wooden platforms, shouting commands, their voices carried by the desert wind. Some are harsh, their words cutting deeper than any whip, but most are men who once labored with us. They know the weight of stone, the strain in the back, the way sweat blinds the eyes. They push us hard, but not without reason. The pyramid must rise without flaw. each block laid as if touched by the hand of the gods themselves. There are scribes too, their reed pens scratching endlessly on papyrus. They keep account of everything: how many blocks were hauled, how many men fell ill, how many jars of beer and loaves of bread were distributed that day. To them, our lives are numbers, tallies on a page. Yet without their records, the great machine of labor would falter. In a way, their quiet work binds us together as much as our ropes and sledges do. Then there are the priests. They do not haul stone or carve blocks, yet their presence is heavy. At dawn, they climb the rising steps of the pyramid, scattering incense into the air, chanting words older than memory. They say the pyramid is not just a tomb, but a ladder for the pharaoh's soul, a bridge between this world and the next. Their rituals remind us that every block we set is more than stone. It is a piece of eternity. Some of us laugh in whispers when they pass, but most bow our heads. Even if we do not understand, we feel the weight of their faith pressing into the air we breathe. And sometimes the pharaoh himself appears. He comes not often, but when he does, the sight stills as if the desert holds its breath. His figure gleams in the sun, adorned with gold and fine linen, his crown flashing like fire. To us, he is both man and God, a being who walks between worlds. When he lifts his hand, even the overseers bow. I remember one day when he stood at the base of the pyramid, looking up at what we had raised. His face revealed nothing, but in that silence, I felt that he saw us, not as nameless workers, but as the flesh and blood that turned his vision into stone. Still, the pharaoh's presence brings unease, for if he notices us, he might also notice failure, a misplaced block, a wall that does not align, a slip in discipline. All could draw his wrath. Stories whisper of punishments, of men cast out, or worse. Whether these tales are true, I do not know, but they keep our hands steady and our backs unyielding. In those moments, I am torn. Pride swells within me to see the pharaoh himself gaze upon our work. Yet fear coils in my stomach, for I know that in his eyes, we are tools, necessary but replaceable. The pyramid is eternal, but we are dust, and so we toil beneath the gaze of overseers, scribes, priests, and a living God. Each day, we carry the weight of more than one stone. We carry duty, faith, and the unyielding will of a man who wishes to live forever. The years passed as if measured by stone, each block marking the slow passage of time. My body, once strong and unyielding, began to feel the strain. My back bent lower, my hands grew calloused like the rough faces of the limestone itself. The sun carved lines into my skin, and my hair, once dark, turned the color of sand. Yet even as my strength faded, the pyramid only grew taller, reaching ever closer to the sky. The work never left us. Even in sleep, I dreamed of ropes digging into my palms, of the endless chant of men hauling stone in rhythm. My bones ached in the morning before the day had even begun, but still, I rose, for there was no choice. Bread and beer were waiting at the site, and without the work, there was nothing. The overseers might shout less at me now, knowing I was old, but the young men carried no mercy. They worked faster, stronger, eager to prove themselves, and I struggled to keep pace. In the camp, we mourned more often. Men fell ill with fevers, their bodies too weak to continue. Some slipped beneath the stones and were crushed before our eyes. When that happened, the work did not stop. The overseers simply called for another to take the rope. At night, though, we spoke of the dead in hushed voices, promising that the gods would remember their names, even if the scribes did not. Some of us feared that their spirits lingered, restless, caught between this world and the next, tied forever to the stones they had carried. Yet, in spite of the suffering, there was pride. I remember the day when we laid the final capstone at the pyramid's peak. A cheer rose from thousands of throats, echoing across the desert. Tears blurred my eyes, not from grief, but from the sight of what we had built. From nothing but sand and sweat, we had raised a mountain of stone, one that would stand long after our bodies were dust. In that moment, I felt both small and infinite, just one man among many, yet part of something eternal. Now, as I sit in the shade of a mud brick wall, my body too frail to labor, I think back to those days, to the sound of stone grinding against stone, to the songs we sang, the bread we shared, the friends I lost. The pyramid stands still, its shadow stretching across the desert, just as it did when I was young. People look upon it and wonder how it was built. They see mystery, perhaps even magic. But I know the truth. It was built by hands like mine, by men who gave their strength and their lives, who endured the sun, the hunger, the overseers, and the gods themselves. And though no one will remember my name, though the scribes never wrote it, I feel that a part of me remains within those stones. Every block holds not just the sweat of my brow, but the spirit of all of us who raised it. The pyramid is the pharaoh's tomb, but it is also our monument, a testament that we lived, we labored, and in our own way, we too became eternal.